Good evening. I don't know, there we go. I was going to say, I don't know what's happened to my light. Hi, everybody. First of all, what a day we had yesterday. It was absolutely fantastic. Cannot thank everybody enough for turning out. A few thank yous that I really want to make up front here. So, first of all, Mike O'Brien, who travelled up all the way from Wales overnight on the coach with his son, Dainton. They got here 10 to 7 in the morning to be told that their hotel booking had been cancelled because they didn't check in the night before, even though the hotel knew they were travelling overnight. The hotel was called the Merchant City Inn, and not only did they cancel the hotel booking for Friday to Saturday, but they also cancelled the Saturday to Sunday, leaving Mike and his son stranded in Glasgow with nowhere to go. So thanks for that, Merchant City Inn. Want to say a huge thank you to everybody who sprang into action to sort the situation out and get Mike and Dainton sorted out as well. Amazing, guys. And thanks to Mike for coming along and for speaking and for donating his books to raise funds. We raised well over £300 from the sale of Mike's books on the day. I also have hi, Alan, Teresa, Jean, Scottish Digger. Hi. I have some more books that Mike has also donated for the people who wanted them, but we'd run out on the day. So if you get in touch, if you'd like a copy of Mike's book, all the proceeds again going to the fund, then if you email me on the usual Innocence Betrayed email address, I'll sort you out from there. The next big thank you, and it is a huge one, is to the admin teams of the groups that set up yesterday. So we're talking Stand Together group, the Who Got Justice group, and the TikTok group. These guys were incredible to watch yesterday. I said, watching them, I said they were like a hive of bees, just everybody doing what needed done, no differentiation between groups, just this huge getting together to make it happen yesterday. And I walked down the steps and turned around and looked at that display, and I was just like, oh my God, how fantastic does that look? And throughout the day, they were all on it the whole day. So to all of the admins in all of the groups that came together so well, thank you so much. You made yesterday what it was. And I think I would go as far as to say yesterday was by far our best one yet. Now, we hadn't intended yesterday to be a particular fundraising day. It kind of morphed into that. So one of Luke's supporters who had hoped to come to the protest but couldn't make it had ordered some rosettes that she was going to bring along with her. And she asked me to pick them up and take them with me. So I picked them up on Friday morning. And when we got there, people wanted to give a donation in return for the rosettes. And we ended up raising over £200 from the rosettes as well. And then there was the suggestion of raffling the t-shirt. Now, all in all, oh, by the way, congratulations, Stuart Conisbee, who won the t-shirt. Overall, between the book sales, the raffle, the rosettes, we raised £1,016.82 yesterday, on a day that wasn't even intended to be a fundraising day. That I have no words. Thank you to everybody for your generosity. That is just, that's mind blowing. It's absolutely incredible. So thank you all so much. One of the things that we had yesterday, and again, this was across the groups, we'd put together some information packs. Thanks to Rachel for pulling these all together, and to everybody that then took them and printed them out. So we had Teresa, loads of fights. Yeah. Yeah, there for Luke. We put these information packs together, and we had in the region of 200, maybe slightly more than that, when we first got there yesterday. We started setting up about 11:45 and we kicked off at 1 o'clock. By the time we started at 1 o'clock, all of those information leaflets were gone. And that was people coming up and asking what it was about, or our people taking the leaflets out and saying to people, do you know about this case? Over 200 of them gone in an hour, call it an hour. The number of people who came up yesterday and said, what's this about? They didn't know anything about the case. And they either stayed to listen, or they took the information away with them, or they asked questions of the people that were already there. This is what it's always been about. It's always been about how do we get that information to more people. Yesterday was a fantastic example of how we do that. We've had people on saying that they ended up speaking to people on the train back home because of their t-shirts and their bags and the stuff with the branding on it. So the big takeaway from yesterday by far is education. We managed to reach so many people yesterday just by being there and by the display. For anybody that saw it up on those steps, the display was magnificent. And that drew so much attention. People just go, what's this all about? And they're coming over to have a look and they're asking questions. So yes, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. Mike's speech was brilliant because he's speaking as somebody who's been there, somebody who's been through it, somebody who knows what it takes to get the conviction overturned, to get them to listen. And I think you could all see he is very passionate about Luke's case and always has been. And I want to make this point because there's a few people who've been a bit mean and sort of suggested, where's he been all these years? A bit like they did with Scott. Why is it taking him this long to speak out? Mike's been there behind the scenes all these years. As a matter of respect, and this is Mike's words, not mine, as a matter of respect, he did not want to step out in front to be seen to be trying to take over or jump on the bandwagon. But at any time since probably 2007, if I've needed Mike's knowledge, all I've had to do is ping him a message. What's the case that this covered? Or what's the legal precedent that covers that? And he's been there, drop of a hat. So just so that everybody knows, he's always been there behind the scenes. And I asked him if he would be willing to come up and speak. And not only was he willing to do that, but he was willing to travel up on the coach overnight to do that. So, this is the world of wrongful convictions. This is a community that does support its members. They support each other, which given what they've been through, given what's been done to them, is actually really quite stunning. And it says a lot for the people that have been through it, that they're still willing to help other people. We played the recording of Luke yesterday because they silenced him. Because he still does not have phone calls or video calls. He's not allowed to speak to anybody for fear that these conversations will be recorded. And we'd had this protest yesterday booked for quite a while, as you know, and I just felt he had the right to be heard. And if he can't be heard in real time, as close to real time as we can get, well, he's spoken before, and they had no problem with that previous recording. So let him speak again yesterday. That was the decision. I believe it was the right decision. I believe the audience felt like it was the right decision, and I know Luke believes it's the right decision. So, yeah, that's where we're at with that. I said we raised £1,016 and 82 pence. The £16 and 82 pence is already earmarked. And this is something that we discovered yesterday purely by chance. I had a couple of portable charger blocks. They're not that expensive. The number of people whose phones ran out of charge when they were in the middle of filming, or Mike's phone ran out of charge when he was stuck in Glasgow. So we discovered that having these portable chargers, and if people are filming or whatever, they're halfway through filming and their phones run out, or they can just whap the charger in and off they go again. So we're going to buy a couple of these as backup, and we'll just take them along to our events, and it just keeps everybody's phones charged up. Excuse me, phones charged up, especially the people that are going around asking people questions on film that we later edit together. It just keeps all of that going. And I'm sure nobody would mind the £16.82 going towards that. The other thing I wanted to mention is the PA system we had yesterday. Now, that was bought from some of the Buy Me a Coffee funds. And it was a big decision. Do we do it? It's quite a lot of money. The sound yesterday was amazing. And I think the combination of the sound and the display yesterday gave us a really professional campaign look. And I think that's important going forward. They're always trying to rubbish us. They're always trying to take away from our credibility. So something like that really gave us the sense of presence that we've been building up to that we now have. The other thing about that sound system, now I've said before that we are planning a conference day later in the year. In England and Wales, they have something called United Against Injustice, and they do a whole day of speakers speaking about different aspects of injustice and how the system works, and having individuals come and speak about their own experience, all interacting with the audience, everybody chatting to each other, and they're really fantastic days. But we didn't have anything like that in Scotland. So I would say maybe for the last year or so, we've been talking about trying to do something like that here in Scotland. Open to the public, free of charge. There's no charge to come in or anything like that. We now have 6 out of the 8 speakers that we'll need booked in as potentials. Obviously, it'll be date dependent. We need to know exactly what date we're going to be using and things like that. But we've now got 6 out of 8 who have said, yes, we will do it if we can fit that date. That PA system for an event like that will be invaluable. We don't have to hire one. And when I looked at hiring one previously, we were looking at £1,200 to £1,500 for a single hire. So in terms of doing our conference day later in the year, there's another use for it. We also have it now for every protest, every event that we do. But what I'd like to see, if there's any other campaigners out there in Scotland campaigning for justice and they need something like that, get in touch. We've got it now. And if we can help, let us know. So yeah, that's D, I've got a power bank, it's a lifesaver. Absolutely. Just stupid things like that. We've got somebody who's come all the way from Wales, is stranded in Glasgow, and his phone runs out of charge. That's not good. So yeah, so that's equipment. So we've got the power banks, and we've got the PA system for anybody, any other campaign group that might need it. Get in touch, let us know, because we're not going to be using it for anything else other than our campaign. It's not like we're going to be using it every week. So if anybody else can use it, great, excellent. People have been asking about t-shirts and hoodies and bags and keyrings and the stuff we got absolutely slated for in the, what was it called again? Daily Rubbish? Daily Ridiculous? Or something like that. Slated us. Good. At least they're noticing what we're doing. Because of the run up to the protest, obviously there was no time to get all of that organised. Now, I have to say here today. I am going to have to take some time out for a little bit for health reasons, but I will get the t-shirt, all that stuff set up, so that the team can take that over and deal with that while I'm kind of out of commission for a bit. So I'm sorry about that. It's just one of those things. Yeah, life happens. Yeah, the other thing, the people who travelled yesterday, I mean, that is incredible. We had people travelled from Aberdeen all the way down. Last time we had Thora come down from Orkney. We had a lady drive up from the Wirral to be there. So it's not just sort of local, you know, we're getting further and further and further across the UK. We were invited down to Liverpool by the lady that drove up from the Wirral. So yeah, we are spreading the word. I saw a question there, where's Scott these days? Scott's actually been working on a couple other cases behind the scenes. I spoke with him Wednesday or Thursday. He's still there. He's still there. He's just not. He's got other stuff to be working on at the minute. So yeah, he's busy. Sorry, I'm just having a quick look at DC. Definitely wanting a t-shirt, hoodie, and bag. Well, what I thought we could do with the t-shirts, or with the designs rather, a two-sided thing. Oh yes, Matt, I'm sorry. Goodness me, I'm so sorry. And Matt as well, Matt Elliott, the filmmaker who came up from Peterborough. Sorry, Matt. I'm doing this on the hoof. I didn't get back till 4:45. Just a mad dive to set this up. Yeah, Matt, who came up and did some filming yesterday as well for the film later on. Yeah, designs for the t-shirts and hoodies and things. There are two aspects to that. So I'm going to offer some designs that can be tweaked to suit individuals, but I'm also, because I've figured out this is my t-shirt machine right here. Now that I know how to work it, we can do individual designs for people if they want them. So if you have a specific design in mind that you'd like, you can send it, and as long as I can get a template for it, I can make that for you. In terms of signed t-shirts or bags or things like that, if you'd like them signed with the do the right thing, or you know, make of that as you will, anything like that, I can also do that. I'm still waiting for those pens to arrive, but I can also do it in cut vinyl. So that's another way of doing that. Is there anything else? Remind me, people, is there anything I've missed? Anything I need to... So I've told you about Mike's books, if anybody still wants them. I hope I've thanked everybody. If I've missed anybody, I'm really, really, really sorry. I'm shattered. I'm just going to go to bed after this. Pardon me. Leaflets would be useful at our next protest with some of the bigger facts in the case. Thank you, Stuart. Yeah, getting the information packs was kind of our first move towards that, because it's quite difficult to decide how much information is too much and how much is not enough, because it's such a complicated case. You don't want to go into overwhelm, but you don't want to leave people confused. And leaflets are quite expensive to print, whereas our little info packs, we just printed on our standard printers. So yes, we'll totally take that on board, and we'll have a look at how best to balance the information that goes into them for future events, and also for anybody that wants them, because lots of people asked yesterday, you know, can we take some of these to take home to like hand out and put through doors? And we didn't have enough to give them yesterday, so that's something else that we're looking at going forward. Sandra, when is the next protest going to be in Edinburgh and where? Alice in wrongful conviction land? I don't know. I don't know. I promise you, we'll let you know as soon as we do. But Dalkeith, no, I don't think Dalkeith is a good idea. I really don't think it's a good idea. We were talking today about Edinburgh, opposite the court, in the big square at the other side, which I think would be okay in, as long as it was the weekend, as long as it wasn't a day that there was court stuff happening. So we're going to look into that. Excuse me. We're going to look into that. No, that's not true. The we in that is devoid of me. The team are going to look into that, or the teams are going to look into that, because I'm not going to be here for a wee bit. So that's another one that's on the radar. We're looking at next venue, next protest, where it can be and how we can best do it. How good would it be if we all had so many info packs and we all hand them out on a particular day in the towns, drive more awareness? DC, it's a great idea. We actually spoke about that before, and then because everything galloped on at such a ridiculous pace, as it always does, I think it kind of got left behind a bit. So yeah, let's bring that one back up onto the to-do list, and anybody that wants to do that will get the info packs for them, and they can just take them. And because somebody had suggested setting up like little stalls in town centres and just chatting to people and telling them what the case is about. So I think that is a great idea. We just need to have the resources to get the stuff to the people that need it. What about the court he got sentenced or the jail he's in? The jail is out, and there are a number of reasons for that, but we won't be protesting outside the prison. The court he was sentenced in, well, the High Court, we could protest outside in Edinburgh, but one of the things that causes a bit of hassle is if we block the pavement, and it's not really that big outside the court there, and it's right onto the main road, so we would cause an obstruction, which is why we're suggesting the big square at the opposite side of the road, because then we can have as many of us in there as we like, and we're not obstructing the pedestrians or causing a danger by having them walk on the road or whatever. Stalls are great, plus you can have a wee donation box. DVDs are best. Thousands cost pennies to make. Oh, that's a good idea. So putting the information on little DVDs and letting people take, yeah, that's another way we could do it. Protest outside the Lord Advocate's office. I believe that's possible. Couple of bits to look at on that, but I do believe that's possible. So it's another one that we can think about. We can just line these up once we've got a list of places. We can just make sure that we're not going to run into any trouble with, well, anything really, and then we can just put them on our list and work through them. Hopefully we're not going to have to work through a list of protests, but this is not going to happen overnight. We always knew that. It was never going to be quick. We have a couple of human rights arguments, as you know. We've got people working on that, but Luke wants his name cleared on the basis that he did not kill Jodie, not that his rights were breached, not what's seen as a technicality, but on the evidence. And I think that's why we're having such difficulty getting the evidence to test. These are the technical arguments behind the scenes. Sorry, I can't go into much more detail about that. But these are the sorts of things we have to look at in terms of tactically which particular route is the most efficient route to go. Chris, protest at HMP shots? No, we're not going to protest outside the prison. There are a number of reasons for that, but it would cause difficulties. Let's put it that way. Obviously won't happen until the festival is over. Yeah, that's a very good point. I'd forgotten about the festival. Okay, let's take that into account as well. We might have to do a double Glasgow and then a double Edinburgh. That being the case, we'll have a look at that. Are we done? Has anybody got anything to remind me or point out to me? Because yeah, I'm brain dead this evening. So if there's anything anybody would like to ask or say or yell at me about anything, it has been a fantastic weekend. I mean, very, very tiring. I travelled through to Glasgow on Friday afternoon and I got back here just before 5 o'clock today. So it's been crazy, but well worth it. Absolutely well worth it. It was a fantastic weekend. And, you know, thanks to everybody that made it that way. All the people that, Paul Peter, who brought along the little hand flags, what a fantastic idea. They were really popular, and I think we'll do them again at future protests because they were just so popular. Yeah, just everybody that came, like the dog and the free look jumper. Is that a jumper a dog wears? That was brilliant as well. You know, dogs don't have voices either. I stand with Mia. Yep. So it was such a good natured day as always. And this is one of the things that I want to emphasize. Every one of these protests has been so good natured and so friendly and so supportive. And I can only thank you guys for that, because that's what we need to counter their claims that we're all deluded and we're wicked and we're cruel and that no, these protests are so good natured, and that's down to you guys. Where can books from yesterday be purchased, please? If you email me at innocence.betrayed@gmail.com, I think it's in the description below. If it's not, I'll put it in. Email me there and I'll sort that out for you. Sandra, what are your thoughts on the government now trying to scrap the compensation rule? They should have bloody done it years ago. It should never have been introduced in the first place. I take it you're talking about the compensation rule that says they have to pay bed and board. I hope that's what you're talking about. That should never have been introduced in the first place. That was an absolute disgrace that a prisoner has their conviction overturned. They get compensation when they can get compensation, and then they take money back from them for their bed and board while they were in prison. What an absolute disgrace. And I've known for years that that's been happening, but there was talk a couple of days ago, I think it was, that they're going to stop doing that. Yes, and so they bloody well should. It's outrageous that that was ever done in the first place. The other compensation rule that Alice might be talking about, I'm not sure, is the one where they changed it to say, right, even if your conviction's overturned, unless you can prove that somebody else did it, and who that somebody else is, you get nothing. How does that work? How does that work? If you didn't do it, if you're the person that didn't do it, how are you supposed to know who did? That is not your job. And it's not our job as campaigners, in this case, to find out who did it. Our job is to prove beyond shadow of a doubt that Luke did not do it. The people whose job it is to find out who did it could have done it first time round. They didn't. So to then put that on the prisoner and say, you get no compensation unless you can tell us who did it. What we call justice in this country is shattering when you see it for what it is. It will destroy any belief you ever had that there is any fairness or justice in our system as it currently stands. And that's why what we do is not just about highlighting Luke's case and trying to get justice for Luke and Jodie. It's about educating people that this system is not fit for purpose. And this I don't even want to call it a shambles, because it's worse than that. It's far more insidious than that, because it's deliberate. We'll go after him. We'll make it fit him or her, regardless of the evidence. That's terrifying. And it could happen to anybody. It could happen to anybody, and people don't know. People don't know. I think we should be teaching this in schools. We should be teaching teenagers, especially things like, well, down south it's joint enterprise, up here art and part. If you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, you could go to prison for the same crime and for the same length of time as the person who did the thing while you were there. I think our kids need to know that. I think we as citizens need to know what to do and how to deal with it if they start targeting us. And people don't. And as Luke said, people would rather feel safe than actually be safe. And the only way you can actually be safe in terms of this stuff is to know how it works, is to know what they can do, to know what they can get away with, and try, if it comes at you, to make a stand against it right at the beginning, before it's too late. Because I've said so many times, by the time people come looking for my help, it's already too late. It's already too late. They are facing years to undo the damage that's been done. So education, every step of the way, guys. It's not just tell people about this case. Tell them what the system can do that people think it can't. The number of times you get, well, they can't do that. They're not allowed to do that. Oh, look, here's the information. They did. Oh, how do you explain that? Yeah. I hope you'll be okay, Sandra. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I just need a little bit of time out. That's all. Just a little bit of time out. And by that, I mean a little bit of time not working. I have no idea. Johnny boy yesterday as well. Sorry. Yeah. It was good of him to come along yesterday. It's good to see him. Yeah, I've no idea how I do a couple of weeks without working. I don't know what that looks like, but apparently got to be done. Hi from Devon. Hi, Devon. I don't know who you are, but you're in Devon. You see, we're traveling. We're going national and international. Catherine, the police knew Luke was innocent before his trial began. Yes. This is what we have to try to teach people who don't understand the system. Because the number of people who say, well, they can't go after somebody that's innocent because they'd never be able to get a conviction. Well, they did. They do all the time. I mean, the Andy Malkinson's case just the other week, overturned. They knew in 2012 the DNA was not his. But because they didn't know whose it was, they didn't refer his case back. Oh, think about that. Where is the sense in that? If it wasn't his, it wasn't him. That should have been the end of it. But that, if you think about what I was saying earlier about the compensation, and well, if you can't prove it was somebody else, and you can't prove who the other person was, you don't get compensation. It's almost like the commission is using the same argument and saying, well, all right, the DNA is not his. But unless we know whose DNA it is, we can't refer it back to the Court of Appeal. That's not how it's supposed to work. That is not how it's supposed to work. And if that's the way the commission are dealing with it, then they need held to account as well. But you see how this grows layer upon layer upon layer. You end up with rows of them needing held accountable. And who do you go after? And in what order? When what you're really trying to do is get a conviction overturned and get them to go after the right person. What protects them is all those layers. That means you're left running about like a headless chicken going, right, we need to get them, and we need to get them, and we need to get them, and we need to get them. They should be doing that. That's their job, not ours. They told Luke to show no emotion. You've just been given life. Shout out, you're innocent. They can't hurt you anyway. Yes, and some people do. But I don't know if you heard what Luke said in Murder in a Small Town. They thought at the point where the boys on the moped, I don't know what's happened to my focus now, it's all gone. They thought after the boys on the moped, and then the Andrina Bryson thing, when she failed to identify him in court, they thought the case was going to collapse. So the guilty came as such a shock to Luke. I don't think he was capable of shouting out anything. Just total disbelief, total shock that it had actually come back guilty. So, it's okay for us saying, if it was me, I would have done this and I would have said that and I would have, I don't think any of us can know what we would have said and done in the same circumstances, because most of us have never been there, thankfully. He was just a child. Yeah. And that's the point. That's the point. If they can do this to a child who's supposed to be protected in law, they can do it to anybody. They can do it to anybody. And right now, it feels like there's not a damn thing we can do about it. And that's got to be changed. How do we trust a system that could turn on any one of us tomorrow and there's nothing we could do about it? How can we possibly trust that? And the more this case grows and the more people get to know about it, the more that trust that they take for granted is dissolving, it's disappearing. And they can't afford that because, as we've said before, we are policed by consent. If we don't trust them to do the right thing on our behalf, and that's why I use do the right thing all the time. If we can't trust them to do the right thing on our behalf, then they need to get out the way so that we can replace them with people we can trust. So that turned into a little bit of a rant. My plan had really just been to come on and thank everybody for yesterday, and just to say keep going. You're doing a fantastic job. Luke appreciates every single one of you and everything you do. He really does. He's mind blown now to realize how much support there is after all these years of pretty much nothing. Suddenly, all these people that know facts about his case. That and that's amazing for me as well. When you go on and somebody's asked a question and another supporter can answer it in full, factually correct. That's amazing because that means everybody's learned the facts, everybody knows where they fit in the and then they can help other people to get up to speed on the case. It's fantastic. And I know it blows Luke's mind as well. There was Furious Traveller. Do you think this will ever be resolved properly? Hard question, I know. I would not still be doing this if I didn't think it could be properly resolved. I've never been under any illusion that it would be done quickly. That's not true. For the first year, I was under the illusion that it would be done quickly. The next 19, not so much. Yes, it can be done properly. And I think with enough pressure from the public, it will be done properly. But it is going to need that pressure. It is going to need people continuing, even when we get Luke's conviction overturned, then we need all of these people to go back to them and say, now go and find who did this to Jodie. We're still not going away until you find out who actually did this. So when I said at the beginning, we're in this for the long run for both Luke and Jodie, because when we get justice for Luke, that does not mean immediately we've got justice for Jodie. It means we've undone an injustice against her. But the only true justice for Jodie is when they find the person who did that to her. So yeah, we've got a long fight ahead of us. Going to need people to stay on board and keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing, like you guys are doing. And it's fantastic. So I'll probably see you all back here in about 10 years' time. Maybe not as long as that. I would certainly hope not as long as that. But yeah, this is not going to happen overnight. We just got to keep going. Teresa, I think both will come hand in hand. I love to think that. I don't want to be pessimistic, but I've seen too many cases where you get the one side resolved and they just leave the other side open, because that allows them to say, we were satisfied with our investigation. Even though the conviction's been overturned, they blame the court. We were satisfied. And by doing that, they're pointing the finger back at the exonerated person. And I've seen that far too many times as well. But that's for the future. For now, we have straight goals directly in front of us. We need to push them. We need those samples. We need to find where the samples are, get them back, get them tested, and take this to the next stage. And let's get this conviction overturned first and foremost. That's our aim at the minute. And as soon as we get that, we just turn it around and we'll now go after them. Find them. If we could find them in advance, as Teresa said, that would be it. We'd do 2 in 1. How fantastic would that be? Will they be able to do that? I don't know. Mama Bear, thank you so much. We love you. Yeah, I love you guys too. You're amazing. You really are incredible. And for me personally, your support for me personally is absolutely invaluable. After all those years, just punting away behind the scenes, sometimes banging my head in a brick wall, knowing that you're all there now, and you have no idea how much that means to me. I know how much it means to Luke, and I know how this is all about Luke, entirely about Luke. It's not about me at all. But as a human being, sometimes it's really nice to just know that people are there for you as well. So thank you, every one of you. Really, really appreciate it. How's Corinne holding up? Corinne's as well as can be expected. Yeah. The one thing that convinces me that Luke is innocent, he sits in jail pleading his innocence. He would just have had to say, I'm guilty, and been out by now. Well, he's certainly been out by next April, if he'd done that. You've heard him. You've heard him yourself. He will never do that. He will never say he did something he didn't do. He's not the only one. I've met so many guys over the years, and women over the years, that look at you like you've gone off your head. If you sit there and go, wouldn't you just like do the thing and get out? And they're like, what? They're horrified. And I understand it. Yeah, I understand why people think that would be the easy way to deal with it. But I totally understand why these guys are like, never. I will never say I did it when I didn't. Furious Traveller, I gave Glasgow leading psychologist your book. So I'll buy another. Oh, that's interesting. Did you get any feedback? Or are they still reading it? Emma McGregor, what have I missed? You'll get it on playback. It'll be, I think this goes right on to playback after I'm finished. The amount of unresolved cases in Glasgow is terrible. Yeah, the amount of unresolved cases across the country is horrifying. I think it's something like, now I haven't looked at the figures in a while, but it used to be 25% clear up rate. which means 75% of crimes go unresolved. And that's acceptable. That's apparently an acceptable clear-up rate, 25%. Has there been any contact with Professor Wilson since this article? I can't remember, Linda. I'm not sure where we're at with that, but you have just reminded me. One more thing before I go. This was only going to be a short one tonight. So as Mike said on Saturday, I have been invited onto the Central Club podcast to talk about Luke's case. And I have also been invited onto Mark Williams Thomas's podcast, and I'm so sorry I can't remember what it's called. That's terrible. I should have looked that up before I came on. So I will be doing both of those. I'll be doing, I think it's an hour with Mark Williams Thomas on his podcast, and I'll be doing the Central Club again, talking about Luke's case. And I will be having another conversation with James English in the not too distant future. So there's a possibility we'll have an update on James English as well. So thank you. Who was it that said that, Linda? Thanks for that, Linda. That's something else I'd forgotten. James English update would be great. Yeah, I spoke to James a few weeks back. He was going on holiday at the time, and he'd said to call him when he got back, but then I had other stuff to do, and we couldn't get a time that worked out. So once I'm back from my little bit time out, I'll get back in touch with James and we'll do a proper catch up at that point. So, excuse me. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it at that for tonight. You've all been incredible. Thank you again for taking time out on your Sunday evening to join us. And before I go off, the teams, I'm going to have a meeting with the teams, and they're going to take over all the stuff that we need going forward, just so I can get that time out that I need. So if you need anything, it'll be the teams that will be dealing with it. So thank you all again. You are absolutely incredible. Yesterday was amazing. Can't wait for the next one. Let's just keep this going. All right. So mind me the DVDs. Easily copied. Yep. Get the team on that. So, right, I'm off. Thank you again so much for everything, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.